just jump right in. My first guest is managing editor at tvguide.com. He's going to tell us exactly what to watch this summer. We have so many cool shows premiering, and can't wait to find out the scoop. This is Alex Zalben, sorry.
No, that's fine. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. It's funny, we discussed pronouncing your name correctly, and there I go botching it right away. Sorry.
No problem. One time I got mail sent to Alex Salisbury, so relatively you did a pretty good job.
I love it. They added syllables and everything. At least I didn't do that. So yeah, thanks for joining us. So many cool new shows coming out this summer. Tons to check out. Help us, guide us. What should we do? Tell us what's happening.
Well, you should definitely watch TV. That's probably the first thing you should do. There's a ton of great stuff that came out already. The summer season started pretty early. One of my favorites, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Glow hit on Netflix. It's a show about women's wrestling back from the 80s. Has an awesome cast, including Allison Brie from Community, Betty Gilpin, you might have seen recently on American Gods, and a couple of other things. And it's really, really funny, but also very heartfelt and awesome. And that's streaming right now. So before you do anything else, watch Glow 100%.
Perfect. You can binge watch that one, right? Kind of bang it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 10 episodes. They're all about half an hour in length. So
perfect.
One rainy afternoon, just watch the whole thing. You'll be good to go.
Absolutely.
Cool. There's a bunch of other things coming up, though. July 10th. There's a show called Will that's premiering on TNT. It's about a sexy Shakespeare.
Oh my God, it looks so good. The trailer is amazing, and all the theater nerds in the world are just going to die for this one.
Yeah, I think so. We had a feature that recently went up on the site where one of our writers talked to the showrunner behind it, because Shakespeare seems to be having a little bit of a moment right now between still Star-Crossed that was just on. There was the whole flap at the Public Theater here in New York going on about Shakespeare, and so she talked to him about why Shakespeare is so relevant right now, and he had some interesting things to say. Certainly you can check it out on tvguide.com.
Awesome. Will do.
Yeah. But there's a couple of other things coming up. Freeform has a new show called The Bold Type that's premiering a day later on July 11th. That's about the magazine industry. As a journalist, and I'm sure you too are very excited about that. But I've had a couple of my writers who checked it out, and what's interesting about it is it's not necessarily The Devil Wears Prada, the TV series. It takes some different riffs and different turns. There's a lot more about female empowerment and female friendship, honestly, between this and Glow, I think is really the theme of the summer and the theme of TV this summer, which is pretty great.
Absolutely, yeah. There's definitely kind of a theme, I feel like, entertainment industry-wide with Wonder Woman and all these things. So it's like, power to the women right now.
Yeah.
Love it.
Exactly. Come on.
Yeah.
There you go. Another thing that's coming out, this little show on HBO that I don't think a lot of people are watching, and frankly I think more people should be watching, called Game of Thrones.
I think I've heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
I may have watched every episode multiple times. Yeah, this is crazy. Is this the final season?
No, there's one more season after this, but they're abbreviated seasons. There's 7 episodes in this season, though it's going to have 2 of the longest episodes of the show of all time towards the end. So even though you're getting less episodes, you're getting a little more Game of Thrones, so it's going to kind of even out. And then there's one more season coming at some point. They won't even say if it'll be 2018 or 19, that has 6 additional episodes, and that's going to wrap up the series. So we're pretty close to the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that there's another one coming, because I was like, is just everyone going to die? And that's what we're going to get? I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll have to tune in and find out.
I don't want to spoil anything, but there's these 7 episodes, and the last 6 episodes, everybody is dead, and it's just empty space.
Empty space for an hour, yeah.
Exactly. So that's definitely the big one. I mean, that's going to be the conversation for 7 weeks. But if you're not into dragons, maybe you're into vampires. July 24th, Midnight Texas is premiering. And that's, if you watch True Blood, that's Charlene Harris who wrote those books. That's her other series. I'm very curious about this one. We were just talking about it in a meeting here at TV Guide the other day, because certainly with True Blood, and certainly, with hot, sweaty vampires in the middle of the summer, that seems primed for a series that people are going to talk about. But also, we haven't been really hearing a lot of buzz about it, which ironically, I guess, created more buzz here in the office. So
Right.
I'm definitely interested in checking it out.
Yeah, do you feel like it might be a little more of the same, or do you think there's going to be a different twist to this one?
That's definitely the question. I get the feeling that it's going to be more of the same, which is fine. People like True Blood.
Right.
But I'm hoping, I've seen so many vampire shows at this point. I don't know if you're watching Preacher over on AMC. They even have a vampire on that one, and it's a really nice, fun riff on it. So I feel like you got to reinvent the genre each time out. So fingers crossed. I'm hoping that one is the sweaty, sexy vampire show we've been asking
We
for.
all know and love, yes.
Yeah. Now, there's a little bit more of a serious show. August 2nd, The Sinner is premiering, and that stars Jessica Biel and Bill Pullman. It's a limited series. It's about a murder, but the twist here is that everybody knows Jessica Biel's character did it. They just don't know exactly why. And it looks very interesting. It had a premiere here in New York at the Tribeca Film Festival, which is relatively rare for TV shows. Again, there's not a ton of buzz around it, despite the fact that Jessica Biel and Bill Pullman are in it. But I do think it's definitely going to be an interesting one for people to check out. It's certainly a more serious show, if that's what you're looking for.
What network is that, or is that a streaming?
That's USA.
Oh, USA, okay. Cool.
Yeah. So again, because something like a little different for them and their constant reinvention from the News Guys. One that I'm super excited for, this is on Netflix, August 4th, Wet Hot American Summer 10 Years Later is debuting. Now, there was the movie back in the day, I think about 15 years ago. Then they had the sequel series on Netflix, Wet Hot American Summer First Day of Camp, which, though it was over a decade later, took place a year earlier than the movie. So everybody was much older, but they didn't do makeup or anything like that. But at the end of the movie, they say, let's meet back here in 10 years. And so this is picking up 10 years later with the same actors, the same characters, much older, but it looks as ridiculous as ever. And I couldn't be more excited that they're doing this.
Yeah, it's sort of like the gift that keeps on giving. They just find new ways to continue to use these characters, and why not?
Yeah, I hope that after this, there's some sort of tease at the end, be like, hey, I wonder what would it have been like if we were all kids, and then we get Wet Hot American Summer babies, but with the same actors, and they just keep
Yes.
jumping
That'd be
back and
perfect. That'd be perfect. Just put them in diapers.
forth. Exactly. Get an Emmy in there, why not?
Yeah.
The other one that geeks are totally nerding out about, also on Netflix on August 18th, Marvel's The Defenders is debuting. Now, this is Netflix's Avengers movie.
Right.
This is taking Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Daredevil, mixing them together with every single character that's been in all of the Marvel Netflix superhero shows in one smashed together series, and they're all fighting. We don't know how they're fighting, but somehow they're fighting Sigourney Weaver, which is
Perfect.
amazing. It's great.
That's
Are you a fan of the Marvel Netflix superhero shows at all? Have you checked them out?
I mean, sort of. It's a sort of overwhelming kind of genre to get into if you're not already involved. There are so many movies and so many characters, and then these characters meet these characters on that show, and then those characters meet those characters. But it's it's so exciting, and people love a superhero, So I'll check it out. Do you think it's something that a sort of newbie to that genre or somebody who isn't as familiar with the characters would still enjoy? Or do I need some background?
No, I think they're doing a pretty good job, as far as I know about the show, about making it new viewer friendly. It's only 8 episodes, so it's not 13 episodes like the rest of the series. These characters meeting each other for the first time, and certainly there's going to be a lot of plot points that are going to pick up specifically on stuff from Daredevil that's had 2 series by this point, but you should be able to get everything you need to know from the first episode. So if you want your first introduction, like you didn't watch all the Marvel movies or anything like that, you should be fine.
All right, good. Well, I'll check it out. I like this lineup. I feel like it's sort of a mixed bag of, there's a little for everyone. We have, action heroes. We have some good old-fashioned friend comedies. We have period pieces. It sounds like there's definitely something out there for everyone to tune into this summer. So super exciting.
Yeah, TV has changed a lot just in a few short years, and I think streaming has a lot to do with that, where it used to be a wasteland. You would get repeats and that's it. And now the TV season never stops, which certainly makes our jobs here very, very interesting. But at the same time, it's exciting. It's great that it's not just repeats, and there's plenty of new game shows. If you're into game shows, Candy Crush is premiering on CBS this week as a live game show, which is amazing. Yeah. So there's plenty to check out, but yeah, it's a brave new world of television.
Definitely, I feel like summer is the new fall when it comes to new programming. I mean, like you said, it used to be a wasteland of reruns, and now it's like you have to be around tuning in, and it's not just for one time of the year anymore. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that said, fall is still fall in a certain sense. You know, all of the networks. They just finished their upfronts a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
They present the new fall schedules, which we were covering pretty heavily. And there's tons and tons of new shows that are coming out that I think people are going to be very, very excited about.
What are like the two most exciting ones to you for the fall?
Sure. So, well, I can tell you from the TV Guide audience, I know people are really, really excited about SWAT in particular. That stars Shamar Moore, who was on Criminal Minds, who is one of the people that TV Guide readers are most excited about. It's a reinvention of the franchise from the TV show and the movie, but with a whole new cast. Shamar Moore is ridiculously charming, so beyond anything else, he's going to power through and make that amazing. Another one that people are really excited about and talking about a lot is The Gifted over on Fox. It's another superhero show. This is actually a spin-off of the X-Men movie series, but if you haven't watched any of those movies, if you've never watched Legion on FX or the cartoons, read the comics or anything like that, that's fine. The way that the X-Men series is set up versus the Marvel movies is they're all kind of different universes. They're all self-contained. So The Gifted is the idea there are kids with powers. This guy who is usually Stephen Moyer from True Blood, we were just talking about True Blood. He stars on the show with Amy Acker, and they're people who are tasked with rounding up kids with powers and documenting with them. And then he finds out his kids have powers, and so suddenly he's on the run from people that he used to work for. It looks a little CW soap with the teen aspect, but it looks exciting. And the stuff that Fox and Marvel have been doing together. If you never checked out Legion on FX, it's one of the trippiest, most visually inventive shows I think I've seen all year. It makes it worth checking out just based on that.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I love the fact that, with all of the streaming channels now, the kind of binge aspect of television that you can get, I love the fact that network television is still up there. They're still putting out stuff that is, just as sort of hot as everything else. So I think that's great.
Yeah, it's really competitive, and I think they know that they need to be competitive. They need to push even harder on the quality and the quirkiness of everything. There are certain tried and true things, I think, in the best way that spin-offs are still happening, and it's part and parcel of what you do on TV. But then there's also things like another hot show, Fox has The Orville from Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
It's a Star Trek parody that feels a little Galaxy Quest kind of, but it's so ridiculously over the top, but serious apparently at the same time in terms of being a space drama. And people are excited about it. I think that's great. You got your Roseanne reboot and you got your Will and Grace reboot, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they work in the modern era because those shows are so much of their time. But at the same time, you have these space parodies, and you have Ghosted is an X-Files parody with Craig Robinson and oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. I'm gonna totally forget, but Adam Scott. I wanted to say Adam Brody, but that's an
entirely different guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff to check out. Keep watching TV.
Oh, for sure. I love television. Okay, so last question. Do you foresee any duds that we should maybe avoid? And I know that might be a hard question to answer.
Man, that's hard to say. I think the trend that I've seen a lot of popping out for the fall is there's a lot of military shows. Almost every network has their own show that's focusing on the military in its own way, and they're just not all going to survive. I mean, that's how TV works. There was the year where we had Studio 60 and 30 Rock both came out, and they were both about sketch comedy TV shows, and There's something to be said for both of them, but ultimately only 30 Rock went the distance, and that seems to happen every year. Here we've got 3 or 4 of them, and I'm not willing to make a call on any particular one at the moment. But you just can't have that many shows with the same thing at the same time. Now, granted, people would point to doctor shows and lawyer shows and be like, "Hey, what about those? We have room for military shows," but a lot of them are very similar feeling, so we'll just have to see which one breaks out of the pack.
Right, exactly. Like there'll be that one that people sort of gravitate toward, and even if they liked the other ones, that's the one that's going to last on television because viewership, they might just cancel the others, like what happened with the 30 Rock survived and the other one didn't. So yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, the other one that I would point out that I'm super excited for, and it's ridiculous, Dynasty is getting a reboot as well for the season. And I don't know if you ever watched Dynasty back in the day or repeats or anything like that, but this comes from Josh Schwartz and Stephanie Savage, who did the OC and Gossip Girl and other soaps like that, and it stars Elizabeth Gillies, who was on Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll, and it looks so ridiculously over the top if you're looking for a nighttime soap. I mean, listen, this is another one that I don't know if there's place for a ridiculous nighttime soap at this point, but there's certainly room in my heart for it.
For sure. Is this like a parody, or is this serious and just over the top in greatness?
Straight up, over the top, greatness, old school.
Love it.
So I can't wait.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. Well, Alex, thank you so much for being here. Very informative. Can't wait to tune in and check out these new shows. Again, thanks for being here from TV